Let's talk about the essential tools that you need to be a writer in the year 2025. Are you ready? All right, let's do it. You need a machine cut fountain pen, made in Italy, France, if you can find one. Usually those run about $300, but you might be able to find one on sale depending on the time of year. Alpaca journals are pretty nice. Leather, like a felt lining, and they have these built-in EMF devices that can shut down nearby distractions and help you work better. And then in a pinch when you need it, a paid plan on your AI platform of choice that can really help you streamline all the way through from start to finish. You got to build out that program though, and you got to make sure that it really knows you and your creative vision. Obviously, I'm kidding, but that's what it feels like online, right? You know, you look at some of your favorite creators, some of your favorite creatives, and they always have some sort of product or app or system that is guaranteed to make you better. And maybe they aren't guaranteeing it, but whenever you have so many people who across the board are using the same devices and they have the same desk setups and they're doing the same things, it's hard to not feel like if you don't use those devices or those systems or those products in your everyday life, that you're doing something wrong. And so I'm making this video to talk about some of the things that I use that help me work better, and also just some of the systems that I use to kind of figure that out whenever I'm deciding on what to choose. So let's do it. Let's talk about some of these things, and maybe it'll kickstart some ideas to figure out what those tools are for you. The first thing I want to talk about is the function of things. I feel like everything in my office falls into one of three categories, for more or less. Does it bring me joy? Does it reduce friction in my daily life? And is it fun to use or nice to use, or does it improve the working experience? So everything here is kind of falls into that category, falls into one of those categories. First things first, my office. If you've watched any of my videos, you might notice, I have a pretty busy gallery wall behind me. In some of my other videos, you might see in B-roll, my shelves are full of different kind of knickknacks and things. And a lot of that comes from a place of just, I like to be surrounded by things that make me happy. Maybe it's stuff that my daughter's made. Maybe it's stuff from whenever I was a kid. Maybe it's stuff from hobbies. I have guitars, I have video games, I have things sitting around that I can look at any given point in the day and just kind of smile a little bit. And so that is a big thing for me. That's a thing that helps me work better, is having stuff on my desk, having stuff around me that makes me happy. And that doesn't mean that I couldn't do good work if I just sat down at a kitchen table with the legal pad and just white walls behind me. Some people work really well that way, or some people don't have any option other than to work that way. But for me, I've found that I feel the most inspired and I feel the most eager to get to work and do things and come into my office and make stuff when my office space feels inviting and me. Another big thing for me are tools that reduce friction. And by this, I mean things that make it easier to get from point A to point B. One of the central things on my desk is this anchored dock that I have, that my work computer's connected to, my Mac's connected to, my monitor and my speakers and everything's connected to. And you might see it in other desktop videos. You might see like a CalDigit or something like it. And it's not something that's 100% necessary, but for me, it reduces a lot of friction in my day-to-day workflow. I'm a hybrid employee, so there are times that I have to go into the office. And before I had a complete desk where I had stuff set up and just had one plug that I could plug and unplug, my laptop had every port full. Everything was connected from webcam to microphone to, all of these things. And so whenever I had to go to the office, unplugging 6, 7, 8 different cords was annoying. And then I was having to route these and drop this back here. And then I come back home and I'm having to pull this cable out and dig under and it's not, if that was the only way that I had to do it, which that's how I had to do it for a little while, it's fine. It is what it is. It's not a big deal. But when I got my own office and I had a space that I could kind of tailor to my needs, I made it a point to say, I want a station dedicated on my desk so that all I have to do is take my computer and pop out one plug. And if I want to connect it over to my Mac, I can just pop out this plug and put it over here. And it makes it so much simpler every single day to get work done. Another thing for me is my standing desk. They're different. Some people don't use standing desks. Some people don't like them. Some people have standing desks that have crank handles. Some people have standing desks that you have to flip over and pop the legs up to actually, raise and lower. And for me, I knew if I didn't have a motorized standing desk, like an automatic thing where I can press a button and it goes up and down and whatever, that I would never use it. I'd never stand up. I would, my back would go to crap and I would just sit here hunched over all day instead of actually getting a little bit of standing time or walking time even to stay healthy. And so for me, that was a big investment. My desk, the desktop I made myself. The legs are from Ergon Office. They have just a frame that you can buy on its own and attach your own tabletop. I did that and I've had it for a couple of years at this point. Love it to death. Works great. Super cool. Another big one for me are tools that I enjoy using. Tools that bring me joy. I'm a big proponent that if you are doing something for hours and hours a day, you should invest in tools that make it more pleasurable to do that thing. If you're just using something once a day or once a week and you're just kind of pulling it out of a drawer or whatever, who cares if it's the most pleasurable to use? Because it's a one-time use case thing, you're not interacting with it all the time, whatever. But if you're sitting at a desk, you're typing on a computer, why shouldn't your keyboard be nice and fun to use? Why shouldn't you have good speakers or a nice monitor or whatever? Like, you should have things that, make it a joy to come into the office and write. And that looks different for different people, depending on like what your needs are and what your wants are and whatever. And some people, that doesn't matter. Again, some people may just sit down at a dining room table, write on a legal pad, and that is plenty. But for me, I write 8 hours a day. It's something where I need a little bit of external motivation every now and then to actually sit down and feel motivated to write. So for me, big ones, I have a couple of mechanical keyboards. This is the Keychron Q1 Pro. I think it has the knob, it has Bluetooth. It is a chunky boy, very heavy, but so nice to type on. I've had it for a couple of years, and I rarely ever think about switching out to anything else because it really is just so nice to type on day to day. I also have a Logitech MX Master 3 mouse, which a lot of people use. It's pretty standard, but again, really comfortable to use. Has the horizontal scroll wheel, which is really nice, and then just comfortable. I have some Edifier speakers. I have an LG monitor. Most of it, specs and everything, not super important, but they're things again that just make it a more pleasurable experience for me. I listen to music, the music sounds good. I look at my monitor, the monitor looks good. And that is a big point for me. When it comes to actual like analog things, my only stipulations whenever it comes to like paper and pen is just, again, does it feel good to write with? Like in some cases, there are papers that I do not like working on. They're too slick, they're like oily feeling or wet feeling, and it doesn't do it for me. I like a lot of like tactileness with my paper, so like a scratchy feeling, really almost kind of rough. Like I like it to feel like I'm actually writing on paper. So I am kind of particular about like notepads and things. A lot of times go with like field notes, sometimes like moleskins, things like that, just because they're easy to find and they get the job done. On the pen front, I do have one semi-expensive pen. I have a Baron Fig Squire pen that I love. I think is probably my favorite pen. It feels really good in the hand. It's a little shorter than I would like, but like it feels really good. It writes really well, and have had that for a while now and really love it. Outside of that, love, G2s, the Pilot pens that everybody loves that you can buy like 10 of them for $5. I mean, they're super cheap, but they're great. They're perfect. So yeah, nothing special on that end, but again, stuff that makes me excited, stuff that makes me want to work and want to do things, because I know myself, and if I have a really gross feeling pen, I'm not gonna want to work with that. That's gonna be a nightmare for me. So it has to be something that makes me actually want to use it. And so the thing that I want you to take away from this video is that there is no magical tool that is going to make you a better writer, a better creative, whatever. But there are tools that will make it more exciting for you to do that work. Things that will make it easier to show up, things that will make it easier to stay focused. Because the act of writing, the act of creating things is tough. And if you don't have tools that can ease some of that friction, it's gonna be a tough and bumpy road to keep on with. So pay attention to what you feel like you need to get work done. If it is a nice keyboard to make it more enjoyable to write, then invest in a nice keyboard. If you need a nice desk, if you need a door that you can close, maybe it's not an option for everybody, and that's okay, but figure out the things that you can do and find out ways that you can, invest in yourself to get more stuff done. It's not about what somebody says you need, it's about what helps you do the best work. Because again, writing isn't easy, and sitting down and doing that work is tough, but if you can make it even 5% easier, that's gonna be a huge win. So yeah, I'm not affiliated with any of these things. I'm not sponsored by any of these things, but I will do my best to link a lot of the stuff that you've seen in this video down in the description below so that you can look at it, find it. If you don't find a thing that you're looking for, or you don't find a thing that really kind of gets you going, maybe it will inspire you with something else. So yeah, hope it helped.